Hello everybody, how are you? Hope all of you are fine by the blessings of our Almighty God. In my last video of your class, I discussed up to the formation of different types of covalent compounds. Today, I will start from the characteristic properties of covalent compounds. First, we discuss the structure of the covalent compounds. Covalent compounds form molecules. In case of ionic compounds, there is no concept of molecule. But in case of covalent compounds, these type of compounds generally form molecules. And these molecules are held together by a weak attractive force. And that force is called van der Waals force. Next, physical state. Covalent compounds generally exist as gases, liquids and soft solids because the type of force present between two molecules are weak van der Waals force. Next point, melting point and boiling point. Covalent compounds have low melting point or boiling points as force of attraction among the molecules are weak in nature. Next, we want to discuss the density of covalent compounds. Covalent compounds generally have low density as the distance between two molecules is high compared to the ionic compounds. Next, we will discuss the condition of heat and electricity. Generally, covalent compounds are bad conductors of heat and electricity as there is no free ions. There is exception also. We can think about graphite. The type of bond present in graphite compound is covalent, but it is a good conductor of heat and electricity as free electrons are present. Next, we will discuss the solubility of covalent compounds. Covalent compounds are usually insoluble in water but soluble in non-polar organic solvent. Polar covalent compounds may be soluble in polar solvents like water. We can think about ethanol. Ethyl alcohol is a covalent compound and it is a polar covalent compound. All of you know that it is soluble in water. So this is the appropriate example where we can tell that polar covalent compounds are soluble in polar solvents like water. Next, we will discuss the ionization. Generally, non-covalent type of compounds are not ionized. There may be some example like HCl. When HCl is in gaseous state, it is a covalent compound. Now, if we dissolve this HCl gas in water, because of high dielectric constant of water, it will be ionized into H plus and Cl minus ions. So that is the exception. Generally, the carbon-carbon bond energy is very high. So covalent compounds generally do not ionize in solvents. Next, we will discuss about the chemical reaction. The type of chemical reaction in case of covalent compounds are slower compared to the ionic compounds, because here sufficient time is required to break the stable carbon-carbon bond, because bond energy of carbon-carbon is very high. So these are the characteristic properties of covalent compound. Next, I want to discuss the variation of covalent and ionic nature of the compounds in a period or in a group in a periodic table. If we take the example of period 3 elements, suppose we are taking this group 1, 2, then 13, 14, 15, 16. These are the groups, and we are taking the period 3. So first will be sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur. If we think about their halides, sodium will form sodium chloride, magnesium forming magnesium chloride, aluminium forming aluminium chloride, silicon will form silicon tetrachloride, phosphorus can form PCl3 or PCl5, sulfur can form H2Cl2 or HCl2. Now what will be the nature of this compound, the type of this compound? NaCl and magnesium chloride, these are ionic compounds. AlCl3, SiCl4, PCl3, all are covalent compounds. So in a period from left to right, the tendency of formation of ionic compound decreases and covalent compound increases. Now we will discuss in a group. If we think about the group 14, the elements are carbon, silicon, germanium, tin and lead. If we think about their halides, carbon will form carbon tetrachloride CCl4, silicon will form silicon tetrachloride, germanium can form germanium chloride, tin can form tannous chloride and lead can form plumbous chloride PbCl2. Now what will be the nature of this compound? If we think about CCl4, SiCl4 and GeCl2, all are covalent. These are covalent compounds. And tin, lead, these are ionic compounds. So in a group from top to bottom, the tendency of formation of ionic compound increases. We are observing here that CCl4, SiCl4, GeCl2 are covalent, and next is the ionic. So as the metallic character increases and non-metallic character decreases down the group, so that nature of the halide compounds will be ionic. Okay. Next I will discuss a comparison between the characteristic properties of ionic compounds and covalent compounds. So ionic compound, and here we will write the covalent compounds. First we will discuss the state of existence. State of existence. Generally, ionic compounds are crystalline hard solid. But in case of covalent compounds, they are generally gases, liquids or soft solids. Next point we will discuss the volatility. Ionic compounds are non-volatile, whereas covalent compounds are volatile. Next, force of attraction. The force of attraction in case of ionic compound is very high, that is electrostatic force of attraction. In case of covalent compounds, the type of force of attraction is weak, that is van der Waals force of attraction. Next we will discuss the units. In case of ionic compounds, the constituent units by which ionic compound is formed, these are ions. But in case of covalent compound, the constituent units are molecule. Next we will discuss the reaction, chemical reaction. In case of ionic compounds, the reaction is very fast. The rate of reaction is very fast because of presence of free ions. But in case of covalent compounds, the chemical reaction is slow compared to slower compared to the ionic compounds. Next we will discuss the conduction of electricity. Generally, ionic compounds are good conductors of heat and electricity in molten state or in aqueous solution. And covalent compounds, if we think, they are generally bad conductor of electricity at any state. But there are some exceptions. We can think about HCl or ammonia. Ammonia will react with water forming NH4 plus and OH minus ion, and HCl also ionize into water, that will form hydronium ion and Cl minus. So in this case they will carry the current. Otherwise, the covalent compounds are bad conductors of heat and electricity. Next, I will discuss the melting point and boiling point. In case of ionic compounds, melting point and boiling point is sufficiently high because the type of force present among ions is very strong, electrostatic force of attraction. And melting point and boiling point in case of covalent compound is low compared to the ionic compounds, as weak van der Waals force of attraction is present. Next I will discuss the dissociation or ionization. Dissociation or ionization. Ionic compounds generally undergo dissociation, and if we pass electricity, then there will be electrolytic dissociation. We can think about the molten state of sodium chloride. If we pass electricity, then in cathode sodium plus will accept one electron forming sodium, and in anode Cl minus will lose one electron and forming Cl, and in this way 2 Cl will combine to form chlorine gas. So this type of reactions are electrolytic dissociation reaction. Now in case of covalent compounds, they generally do not ionize, but just now I have discussed there are some exceptions like ammonia or HCl. HCl will dissociate or ionize into H plus and Cl minus, and ammonia will react with water to form NH4 plus and OH minus. Only in this condition they can conduct electricity or they can dissociate. Otherwise, the covalent compounds do not ionize. Okay, so hope all of you can understand the comparison between the ionic and covalent compounds. Next, I will start a third type of chemical bonding, that is coordinate or dative bonding. Coordinate bond. A coordinate bond is formed between two atoms when the one atom donates both the electrons to the other atom, and other atom will accept this electron pair and they equally share this electron pair as a bond. Then this type of bond is called coordinate bond. We can think about the example, suppose ammonia. This ammonia has one unshared pair of electron or lone pair. Another molecule we can think about boron dichloride. So here this nitrogen will donate the electron pair to the electron deficient molecule boron dichloride, and there will be formation of one bond. That bond is generally shown by arrow. And here on nitrogen there will be positive charge, and on boron there will be negative charge. And this bond is called coordinate bond. This is one kind of polar covalent bond. Here this nitrogen atom is called donor atom, and this boron atom or this molecule is called acceptor. And this is the concept of coordinate bond or dative bond. Now what are the conditions? Next I will discuss the conditions. Condition for formation of covalent bond or coordinate bond. Mainly there are two conditions. The donor atom must have at least one lone pair of electrons so that it can easily donate. So here nitrogen must have one lone pair. In case of ammonia there is one lone pair. And another condition is the acceptor molecular species should be electron deficient or having the lower number of electrons, that means their octet is not filled up, or absence of a pair of electron. So in case of boron dichloride, its octet is not filled up, so it can accept one electron pair. So in this way we can easily understand where coordinates bond will be formed. Now just now I told that coordinate bond is one kind of polar covalent bond, and the donor atom becomes positive charge and the acceptor atoms becomes negative charge. So next I will discuss some examples of coordinate bonding. In your syllabus, first there is formation of ammonium ion formation. That is NH4 plus. So this is the structure of ammonia containing one lone pair, and it donates its lone pair of electron to one proton or H plus, then there will be formation of a coordinate bond. And this will be the structure of the ammonium ion. So this is ammonium ion. Next we will discuss the formation of hydronium ion, formation of hydronium ion. You can think about water molecule containing two lone pair of electrons. If one will be donated to the H plus, then there will be formation of hydronium ion. And this is called hydronium ion. Next, I want to discuss the formation of hydroxyl ion. Here we have to take two water molecules. Then one lone pair will take one proton from here, and formation of hydronium ion as well as hydroxyl ion. So that will be the formation of hydroxyl ion. Next, I will discuss the formation of ammonium chloride. So in case of ammonium chloride, we have to draw the structure of ammonia first. Then HCl will be dissociated into H plus Cl minus. So that H plus will be taken by this lone pair of nitrogen. So nitrogen will donate this lone pair to H plus, and there will be Cl minus also. So finally you will get the structure like this. So here also coordinate bond is present. So in this way we can easily understand the formation of covalent bond, is formation of coordinate bond and their compounds. Now can you tell me one example where three types of covalent ionic as well as coordinate bond is present? Here the example will be ammonium chloride. In case of ammonium chloride, these three NH bond, these are covalent bonds, and one is coordinate bond and another is ionic bond. So this is the example. You can think about ammonium bromide, you can think about any complex salt like potassium ferrocyanide K4APCNL6. You can think about CuNH3 SO4, that means tetraamine copper sulfate. This type of compounds have all the three types of bonds. So hope you can understand the chemical bonding, and in this way I have completed this chapter today, and next day I will discuss the problems of the worksheet. Whatever I have given to you as your homework, and also I will hope that all of you are following my study materials, and please read the textbook thoroughly, line by line. And today that's all. Thank you.